We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. Get off this fucking neck. That makes you know. Can't fucking breathe. That makes you know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Friday, you can bet this week sucked. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. You may have noticed that it is not Thursday, and we do not have a total picture here going on. This week has been a motherfucker, to say the least. Several of us have been dealing with illness. Some of us have other things going on that just couldn't be shuffled around. So what you see is what you get this evening. Me and Christian are here to give you everything we can give you as far as a quote-unquote normal show goes. We're going to give you as close as we can to that approximation. But that being said, before we jump into all the shit, first and foremost, how the hell are you doing over there, brother?
Doing as good as I can be, you know. Like we talked about earlier, feel better than yesterday. Glad I'm able to fucking be here, you know. hard to fucking breathe, still coughing, so I might be muted a little bit. But I'm gonna try to fucking get myself in here, do what we can, try to have a good little time out of it too.
We push on. We push on. So, that being said, we are going to kick things off like we normally do around here with a little bit of news and recent events. Needless to say, this is a condensed version. The MMA landscape of news in the last just 48 hours has been absolutely ridiculous. On top of that, the last week in general has just been flooded with absolute craziness in terms of injury and fight related announcements both. So I'm going to run down from the top here as quick as I can and try and chop through these. First and foremost, to the surprise of very few who have been paying attention, Paulo Costa's elbow has staph infection and he has to undergo a third surgery for it. So he is officially out of the co-main event for next weekend in Abu Dhabi. They have decided the last minute 12-day notice replacement. Kamaru Usman will be stepping up to welterweight to take on Khamzat Chimaev for the co-main event of Abu Dhabi's UFC 295, I think, or 294. That's what it is, 294. But the news doesn't stop there. We talked last week about the Iskram Aliskerov fight getting switched up once already, and then we got Paulo Costa, and then as if that wasn't enough, we got confirmation that in training last week, a headbutt happened, a gigantic cut was opened up, and Charles Oliveira is out of next week's main event on 12 days notice. Once again, stepping up to save the main event is Alexander Volkanovski. So next weekend's co-main event changed from Paulo Costa versus Khamzat Chimaev to Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev, still at middleweight. And the main event went from Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev 2 to Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski 2, but still at lightweight. So that whole
So in
Abu
other
Dhabi
words,
card
we
is
actually get a card that matters now.
Oh.
We actually get some fun shit. We get some good fucking fights instead of some bullshit that nobody cares about. It's going to be an early ass card too, right? Like one of those 7 in the morning ones because of Abu Dhabi.
Hang on, I'm having sound issues at the moment. Give me just a moment here. My ish done went full bananas.
Yeah, damn sure can't fucking lie though. I'm a lot more excited for the card than I fucking was. Especially if somebody's actually going to pay money for it. It's actually somewhat worth it now. Hamzat finally getting really his first tough test, right? Gilbert Burns, toughest guy he's fought. Now you actually got to fight what a lot of people consider one of the greatest welterweights of all fucking time, ex fucking champion Kamaru Usman. The fact that Kamaru is as good with the wrestling as he is, it's actually going to fucking be a tough test for Hamzat, in my opinion. He was just going to walk through Costa. So, I mean, this is good shit in my eyes. I felt the same thing with Charles and Islam. That rematch, Islam was just going to run through him again. Fucking now he's got to take on Bulk with the 11, 12 days notice? This is going to be a hell of a fucking fight. The first one was. And the fucking dogs, man. Good God. Take those kind of fucking fights on such short notice. Sadly, the shitty week's not stopped. Technical difficulty. Fucking idiot.
All right. Sorry about that. That was way more fucking complicated than it should have been. Fucking ain't one thing, it's another. Sorry, I had no sound for the last like 5 minutes there. Like as soon as I started to talk about fucking Charles versus Islam, my whole fucking ear just started freaking out.
Yeah, hopefully everybody that's watching got to hear what I was saying. The fucking card's a lot more goddamn exciting than what it was. We
Yeah, your
actually get
audio
some
should have been
fucking
cool. I
tough
just couldn't hear.
matchups.
Yeah, no, the next weekend's card is all kinds of fucking shaken up compared to what it originally was. But in my opinion, some of those matchups actually might be better than the originals were. So we're definitely gonna have a hell of a card to talk about next week for sure. That being said, a couple weeks out from now, UFC Sao Paulo, November 4th, is getting the same essential treatment as UFC 294 is next weekend. Originally scheduled to face Chao Baralo, Rizibiev is out, and now Abus Magomedov is stepping back in on short notice to take on Chao Baralo, and Curtis Blades in the main event is also out and stepping up on short notice. Derek Lewis will now be facing Gilton Almeida, which honestly, in my opinion, might be the worst matchup Derek Lewis has faced up in a while, man. That's just, there's nothing favorable about that fight for him. Short notice, Gilton Almeida being able to go back and forth between light heavyweight and heavyweight and kick the shit out of anybody in any fucking division, of either division they put him in. It's, the dude is just very, very well rounded, and Derek's gonna have a lot on his hands for that. But we'll see how that plays out as we get a little closer to that one. Ending out November, the PFL Championship card on November 24th, where their $1 million prizes are going to be handed out. A nice little interesting tidbit fight added to the main card non-champion fight section. Derek Brunson making his PFL debut against Ray Cooper III. So they're not giving him any fucking easy work anyway. They're throwing him right into the deep end on the championship card. So that shows that they do still have some faith in him. Gonna be interesting to see how that one plays out. UFC 296, December 16th, got a very interesting fight added to it here. I know a lot of people are going to be very hyped to see this one play out. Alonzo Menefield stepping back into the cage against Dustin Jacoby. Very interesting fight to throw on that first pay-per-view, or the last pay-per-view rather, of 2023. They seem to be stacking that one with a bunch of interesting fights. Then turning over the calendar to the first card of 2024, January 13th. Location still TBD because UFC is going to UFC. Basil Hafez, the gentleman who took JDM to one of his strangest fights in recent memory, getting back into the cage, taking on Preston Parsons. Very interesting matchup for both men. Stylistically, that one could be very interesting to see how that plays out. The first pay-per-view of 2024, UFC 297, taking place January 20th in Toronto. Jillian Robertson, the choke dealer herself, throat hugs in action, getting back against Polyana Viana. That's going to be a very interesting match as well. It's going to be interesting to see how those two ladies shake loose. Polyana's trying to get some steam going here, and Jillian seemed to be on a hell of a roll lately, getting her shit together. It's going to be a hell of a matchup for the Toronto card. A couple of other interesting pieces of news, not necessarily fight announcements. The UFC has officially booked its first card in Saudi Arabia. It will take place March 2nd, and it will be a fight night. So kind of interesting to see how that one plays out, especially when Dana was originally criticizing guys like Tyson Fury taking that Saudi money to go over and fight. And now here's the UFC going over there, but they're only giving them a fight night, not an actual full pay-per-view. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. See what fights they actually put on that card. We did get this one, I will say, is kind of a trio of news that just ties together here. First, we got confirmation officially that Conor McGregor is back in the USADA testing pool. That was good news. Then came an avalanche of what the fuck following that news. USADA broke the announcement, not the UFC, that as of January 2024, USADA will no longer be handling fighter testing for the UFC. USADA representative came out and said this is directly tied to the, and I quote, untenable relationship strains put on them in terms of this Conor McGregor returning situation from the UFC side of things. The UFC saying that they have opted not to renew USADA's contract. They are now instead, starting January of 2024, going to be going with Drug Free Sports International. They are the organization that handles basically every major sports organization's testings: NFL, NBA, NFL, MLB, FIFA. They handle NCAA. They handle, the vast majority of the United States based and world recognized testing. They have one of the two WADA recognized anti-doping laboratories in the world under the Drug Free Sports International Organization umbrella. So they will have one of the two world accredited anti-doping labs at their disposal now. But it's kind of interesting to see, because Jeff Nowitzki, the guy that they brought in with USADA as one of the representatives to the justification of how well USADA is going to work and how great it's going to be, at this point has officially stepped away from USADA and is now a UFC employee, and said that he was sad to see USADA leaving on these terms, but he's interested to see what Drug Free Sports International will be able to bring going forward. Kind of weird that the Golden Snitch was one of the reasons they sold the public on how this was going to fucking work. And now he's one of the ones backing off saying, no, USADA can go fuck themselves. I work for the UFC now. But as if on cue, you can't make this shit up. Within an hour of the announcement that USADA is officially no longer part of the UFC going forward in 2024, John Jones announced that he is going to file an appeal to try and get his no contest match versus DC overturned, since USADA will no longer be the sanctioning organization for those charges. Motherfucker. John Jones gonna John Jones always. But to put a little bit brighter note on that spin, we did get confirmation just this afternoon that as of 2024, California's state law will now include MMA fighter retirement from the fund that was allocated for all fighters' retirement in the state of California. MMA fighters will now be eligible for it as of state law passed, enacted January 2024. So that is very fucking cool. That is one of those things that we hope gets picked up state by state, or maybe federally somehow. I think to get it enacted in a wider sense, it's going to take unionization. And I know that word is almost taboo in the fight world, but that's what it's going to take, I think. That being said, there we go. Kind of a pair of shitty ones to round out the news here. The first one, Israel Adesanya came out this afternoon and said that he is, and I quote, not going to be coming back to fighting for a long time. He's got some injuries he's got to heal up. He's got some personal issues he's got to deal with. And he has fought, I think they said he fought 4 times in the span of 19 months. Just constantly fucking going after it. He needs to heal. He's got some things he needs to deal with. He said he is definitely not retiring, but it's going to be a while before we see Israel Adesanya get back into the cage straight from his mouth. So it's a little interesting. I understand with the drunk driving charge that he pled guilty to, with some other personal things that he's been very open with on his social media, not to mention some of the injuries from the fight itself, the last 2 fights rather. I get it. I definitely understand, but it's definitely a very Israel Adesanya way to announce that. So we'll see how long a long time actually turns out to be, and what we actually get to when we get the next Izzy fight. That being said, unfortunately, this week, as like most weeks, I have to end my news segment the same way, in reminding everyone that once again we've made it through an entire week's news cycle and Dana White has still not faced any actual consequences for slapping his wife over New Year's Eve down in Cabo. And no, contrary to how many times Dana tries to say it, having to live with the knowledge that that happened is not subsequent punishment enough. Fuck you, Dana. Deal with your bullshit. That being said, do you have anything else over there that I might have missed this week?
No, I think you about wrapped it up.
Good shit. Good shit. So normally at this point in the show, we would have our rethinking it with Ramie section. Obviously, we have no Ramie, so we're not necessarily going to have a rethinking it. I will say, I am now completely rethinking UFC 294 now that we have a complete top end of the main card, including main and co-main event change out. I am definitely rethinking how all of those fights are going to play out. So there is that in that vein, I guess. But that being said, in most podcasts, this would be the point where you get some mid-roll B-grade fucking advertisement for a program or a product that doesn't actually have anything to do with the show and no one on the show actually uses. And we don't fucking play like that around here. At the I'm No Joe podcast, patreon.com/I'm No Joe. The viewers are the ones who help us do what we do around here. For as little as $1 a month, you get your name at the end of every broadcast on this channel, as well as access to unaired and literally unairable content from this channel. There's shit in there, I'm telling you now. You will laugh until you cry. I'm not fucking joking. So if you can afford so, as little as $1 gets you over there. If not, we still do this for free pretty much every fucking week on YouTube and all podcast consumption platforms, but we'll get more to that a little bit later. That being said, this will be the point in the show where if you've been watching combat sports as long as some people have, you tend to inadvertently develop a set of metaphorical blinders, as it were. You know what you watch, you know when it comes on, you know how to get to it, you know how long it's going to be, and you sort of lose the forest for a tree or vice versa, and you know how that goes. But luckily for us here on the show, we have ourselves a bona fide young person that's able to just finger the pulse of the MMA world and keep us abreast of all the names that are going to be named before they become names, in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Well, to start off, man, the Contender Series wrapped up this past week. There was some decent fighters that came out of this season. Some people will be looking forward to, but a lot of contracts handed out to a lot of mid-level fighters, a lot of mediocre-ass fights. It really felt like the Ultimate Fighter has been feeling for years. The product is seeming like it's lessening, and they don't seem like they're doing too good of a job really going out and finding not just prospects in general, but real international prospects as much as I think they should. Contender Series was a little bit tough to watch this year. We'll see what some of the kids can make out of it, but that's about all I got to say. That is, it's starting to get to being really tough to watch that shit. You know, I mean, I guess I'm the young guy. I'm the one stuck with doing it, but wasn't anything huge came out of the season. You know, any kids that were like really excited about. Damn sure no Bo Nichols. So, and at the end of the day, I mean, he really helped Dana out last year. Without him, it would have been the same situation on the Contender Series. Really, nobody fun came out of it. As for this weekend, you know, it's kind of another tough card. We've got a few exciting fights, but I definitely feel like there's more cans you can find on this card than there are contenders. I got some fights that I'm going to lump together and I'm throwing in the can this weekend. The Edgar Chairez versus Daniel Lacerda fight. I mean, we were going to see that a couple weeks ago. Absolute shit stoppage, you know. Referee fucking calling the fight a little early. Doesn't necessarily know what grappling is. Lacerda didn't look like he was out. He looked like he was trying to relax to just wait for Chairez to tire out so that he'd eventually let go of the fucking choke. He wound up stopping the fight, goes to no contest. Now we get them fighting again in a couple of weeks, but I don't think either guy's that fun, that exciting. Chairez was definitely whooping his ass a little bit. I think we'll just see the same damn shit. Not too excited for the fight in general, though. I mean, just be honest with that. And we got a couple other fights, ladies' fights. Ashley Yoder versus Emily Ducati. I'm just going to throw them both in the can, throw that fight in the can. I'm not interested in that one at all. I think Ducati kind of edges that one out, but I think both ladies are what you would consider decision machines. There's not a lot of entertainment value there. There's not a lot of finishing ability. And I think a lot of us MMA fans are getting sick and tired of watching grappling matches that aren't really grappling matches. It's just people fucking laying on each other for 15 minutes, not really trying to look for passes, not showing a true sense of jiu-jitsu or wrestling, not showing any sort of dominance. They get in a dominant position, most of these fighters. They don't know what the fuck to do with it. They don't work any ground and pound. They don't work for submissions. And it's just absolutely fucking boring. Even for us hardcore fans that truly know what jiu-jitsu is and would enjoy seeing some fucking good jiu-jitsu. You don't see it very often. I think those ladies are going to stink it up.
The definition of edging for sure.
I also think Jennifer Maia, Viviane Araujo. That's another fight that's just going to stink it up. It's the same situation. These ladies are just going to wind up kind of trying to grapple fest. And one of them's going to wind up laying on it, the other one, and I think that's going to be Jennifer Maia. But Araujo's definitely looked bad in her last couple of fights where she was maybe a promising prospect. And she's lost some pretty tough ones in her last couple. And then TJ Brown. Like, he's from Missouri and shit. I love to root for my Missouri boys, but he's back and forth. It's all hell in the UFC. I think he's got a 4-5 record in the UFC. Dude just hasn't been very good. He's had a couple of decent wins, but he's a grappler as well. He has shown us some decent jiu-jitsu compared to other people. I'm just not too excited for him this weekend, even if he's a hometown kind of guy. And then I think he's got a really tough test ahead of him. As old as Darren Elkins is, he's a bad motherfucker.
Fuck yes, he is.
TJ Brown's not the kind of guy to go into a fucking street fight. Like I said, he's the grappler. So I look at this as like Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis fucking boxing each other. If that was an actual street fight, Dylan Dennis probably fucks Logan Paul up, right? But it's a boxing match. Dylan Dennis can't box with a goddamn, so he's probably going to get his ass beat by Logan Paul, which sounds ridiculous, but it's going to happen. I feel the same way with TJ Brown. If he can get his ass worked by that veteran Darren Elkins, it's going to be a fun time for us. So for contenders, we're looking forward to. Obviously, you got Terrence McKinney. That kid, he's been a little back and forth since he's been in the UFC, but he's still so damn young. And he goes out, he's the get or get got. Like, his back and forth, it's just that. He goes out and puts on exciting fucking fights. The kid puts himself into fucking dangerous positions, and sometimes he's the one that comes out on top. You gotta love that shit. Even if he's lost some fights, kid goes out there and makes it exciting every fucking time you see him. Yep. He always takes any fight they fucking hand him. He's the one that pops into those short notice fights a lot of time, getting a short notice replacement here. And I think he's going to look pretty damn good because of that. The short notice guy getting his debut. T-Rex is just going to look really good this weekend. I also got Adrian Yanez. I think he's going to have a really good bounce back this weekend. I think that kid's still really young and got a lot of potential as well. He got a serious chance to build his way back up into the contendership with that division. I know if TJ was here, he would hate this, and he'll probably hate it too, but I'm putting Petrosky in there. He's same thing with Joe Pfeiffer shit. I know you guys don't like him, but you have to give a fighter their fucking respect. And this kid, since the Ultimate Fighter, has already won 5 fights in the UFC. He did lose on the Ultimate Fighter, but they gave him a fucking chance, and he hasn't lost. And he's been getting a little bit tougher fucking competition each time. He's still winning. He's won a lot of them in fucking spectacular fashion by finishing these guys off. It's going to be tough this weekend. Michel Pereira's making his move up to middleweight, but that dude's still got a lot of finishing ability himself. I don't think you guys like him either, so maybe that's this week's chance for Petrosky to win you over slightly, but that's more likely just a fight you guys would lump together, throw in the can. I know that, but give Petrosky his fucking, respect a little bit. You may not like him, but the kid goes out there and finishes Pereira. It's the same goddamn thing with Joe Piper. Fucking dude's going to keep on climbing up. He's not no Bo Nickel, but keep going out there knocking people out shit. You're going to fucking work your way up to some serious killers. So I'm throwing him in there.
He's got 5 W's in UFC. I won't say that he won all 5 of those fights. He's gotten 5 W's in the UFC though. So it'll be interesting. And I also have to say, if I didn't hate him before, now he's making me root for Michel Pereira. So now I hate him extra because I've got to root for that back flipping moron. So like now I extra don't want him to fucking win. Like
Yeah, I knew that. Like just with Joe Piper, you guys would be on the opposite side of things with that. But that's me being the younger kid. I always try to stay optimistic and fucking give guys a chance to be a contender because we don't have a lot of. Sometimes we got to go fishing.
True.
And that's the only thing that don't make me look stupid with it. I mean, with some of these, they fucking keep getting the finishes and they haven't lost a damn fight in the UFC. So a couple of them I'm a lot more excited for, though. Cameron Saman versus Christian Rodriguez. I think these two young kids are going to fucking put on an absolute firefight. So, Cameron Saman, I'm really fucking excited for this kid. He's so goddamn young, and he's looked pretty good since he got into the UFC. He did a couple of dirty shots, mind you, a couple of kicks to the balls, eye poke here and there. But 22 years old, being 9-0, and winning his first few fights in the UFC, you got to be excited to see what this kid does next. And now they're giving him a 25-year-old 9-1 guy, and Christian Rodriguez has also looked decent since he got in the UFC. If you're thinking about prospects, if you're thinking about
from the scale anyway,
fun, exciting contenders, this is it. One of these kids is going to come out on top, and whoever loses this fight also has potential down the road to fucking bounce their way back because they're both so fucking young. Both have a ton of finishing potential.
That and Rodriguez was the only person on the whole card today to miss weight this morning.
Oh, shit.
He showed up at 140 even and didn't even try for a second time.
That doesn't look too good, but
no, I was interested in that fight to begin with because of all the fucking hype that you put on Cameron Saman and brought up to us. So I was interested to see how that fight played out to begin with. And then I found out that Rodriguez was the only person to miss weight today, and he missed weight by 4 fucking pounds and didn't even try to come back and do it. He's just going to take the fucking purse cut and take the fight anyway, as long as it's approved by Saman. So I think that looks even better in Saman's favor.
Yeah. I'm still excited for the fucking fight. I still think both the kids got potential, but for sure, if he missed fucking weight today, all that does make Saman look fucking better. Like I said, the kid's 22 years old and fucking undefeated. So if he goes out there and lays out Christian Rodriguez, skyrocket. Put the boots on the kid. He's still going to be a little slow crawl because he's so fucking young. UFC's not really going to fucking skyrocket him the way I would like. The kid's got serious fucking potential. Like I said, that youth is shown with some of those little mistakes. Some people think he's kind of dirty. I just think he's young as shit. He's fucking, he's a little too excited. It's that situation. He's so juiced up and shit. Being a young kid, getting in that situation, you make a few mistakes. But I think especially he goes out there and finishes Rodriguez this weekend. No nut shots, no eye pokes. It's going to fucking put this kid in a good spot. The ladies fight I'm really excited about. I think it's the fight to start the night. Tainara Lisboa versus Ravina Oliveira. And I'm excited for the fight in general just because Lisboa's won 4 in a row and she has finishing potential. She's literally finished all of her 6 wins. Oliveira, though, 26-year-old lady, 7-1-1 record, and 7 finishes out of her 7 wins. I don't know what it is, but this chick is smoking hot. If you haven't seen her Sure Dog or Tapology pictures, you haven't looked her up, you haven't ever heard of Ravina Oliveira, go get yourself a peek. She's damn sure a fine piece of eye candy that's coming in the UFC, and good God, she's a badass. This is exactly what you want out of women fighters. Never objectifying. We just love women, right? You fucking give them all the respect in the world. When they're good looking and a fucking badass, you whoop some people's ass. Fucking love that shit. Those are the ones you look forward to. Potential fucking little star coming in the bantamweight division right here. And with, the GOAT leaving, we need some good little young prospects working their way up in these women's divisions. So I'm excited for the fight in general. Both ladies have a lot of finishing potential. But Ravina Oliveira, man, like I said, the looks and the fucking kicking ass. She'll open up a can of whoop ass real quick, fast, in a hurry. I'm excited as hell because most of her fucking finishes come by knockout. She's got 1 submission out of those 7 fucking finishes. She knows how to lay some people out. And I'm really looking forward to that ladies fight. And I think it's the one that starts us off. So, that's a good way to start off the card. Hopefully it works out better than we think it is because there's only a few fights I'm really looking forward to. I'll finish off the contenders with the main event. You got to lump that fight in there because Sadiq Yusuf, he beats Edson Barboza in a good fight, not a decision win. It'll be impressive to a point. if he goes out there and kind of wins a good battle, 5 rounds against Barboza, but you go out there and knock him out, that's a whole different story. That could definitely make him look, a little bit of a certain way, really push him up to being a contender. And Barboza, he's just looked fantastic in his past couple fights. We got to see him in April here in Kansas City, fucking throw a nice little knee and knock out Billy Quarantillo. So if he goes out there and lays out Sadiq Yusuf, it doesn't matter that Barboza's working on 40 years old. That jumps that boy right back in the fucking mix, and I'm fucking here for it. So I'm excited. I mean, this is the most exciting fight on the card, obviously. I don't think it's necessarily main event worthy, but, we'll see what Sadiq Yusuf really had. That's the reason I don't consider a main event worthy. I don't think Sadiq is really ready for this shit, and I think Barboza's going to school him, but I'll be impressed if fucking Yusuf actually goes out there and throws down, fucking creates a nice little war with Barboza. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited for it. But what you got? I know we're the only ones here, so you're the only other one that gets to throw out some cans of contenders this week.
So, in terms of cans, I've got 2. I agree with your picks abso-fucking-lutely across the board. You hit the fucking nail on the head all the way down there. I do have 2 other fights that I don't understand why they're necessarily on this card, other than the fact that this is a hangover card. And that's Chris Gutierrez versus Alatong Haley. Alatong Haley is still nowhere near deserving a ranking, and Gutierrez is gifted that number 15. And I don't think that fight really should be a ranked kind of fight, let alone stuck in the middle of all this shit leading us up into Abu Dhabi. I think this is one of those, they had to put it somewhere and we're fucking stuck with it. So I'm throwing it in the fucking garbage. I don't need to see that shit.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with you there. I don't think Gutierrez deserved that fucking ranking just because he knocked out Frankie Edgar on the literal tail end, ass end of his career. I mean, come on.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. I think the only reason he has that fucking number is because he caught a Frankie at the exact fucking end of his career after he had already started to get fucking really hurt in some of those last couple fights, and he managed to get that squeak through, and now they gave him a number because of it. I don't dig that. I don't think this is a great matchup stylistically or ranking wise. You can pitch that whole fucking fight for me. The other one that comes after it, in my opinion, the next fight on the card, Arina Alexieva versus Melissa Dixon. What the fuck are we doing here? What are we really doing here? Like, this is exactly like I was just talking about, one of those fights that it just got thrown on here because it's a contractual obligation fight. They had to let them fight somewhere, and the fight has to go on a card, so fucking throw it in the prelims here. There's a good 30-minute span of the prelims where you don't even need to look at your fucking TV. Use it to go out and cook your fucking ribs, order your pizza, get your dabs going, take a shit if you have to. This is your window, in my opinion. Those 2 fights are back-to-back. What the fuck? Now, on the other side of that, I have to say, I try and call it out when it needs to be called out, so I'm going to call myself out for it. It is a bit of low-hanging fruit for sure, but Adrian Yanez versus Jonathan Martinez. Yanez is unfucking believably talented and so fucking young, and Martinez is just right there fucking with him. I think they are like 1A, 1B, and this fight is going to tell us which one really starts to get the push of the new guys making their way up through this division. Bantamweight is really fucking exciting right now. It's, in my opinion, one of the best times we've seen for the bantamweight division in the UFC for men in at least 5 fucking years. And these 2 gentlemen both are part of the fire that's lit at the bottom of the rankings, trying to get that motherfucker going. I'm excited for this whole fucking fight. I think Yanez takes it because I think he has a little bit more of a well-rounded game than Martinez does. But both of those men are incredibly fucking talented, incredibly well-rounded, and they're both young as shit. So they both got no issue going a full 15 if they have to. And if they do, it's going to be a fun 15 fucking minutes with these guys, in my opinion.
Yeah, I fully fucking agree. Like, I put Yanez in the contender spot myself. I threw him on because I do think he's going to come out with the win. I think he's going to bounce back really good. But Jonathan Martinez is the same situation I was saying about Cameron Saban. That fight's also fantastic. Fucking whoever comes out on top, definitely going to fucking be a contender if they're not already. And I also agree with you with the Alexa Lynn Dixon fight. Yeah, they fucking are promoting Alexa Lynn, her debuts, the Russian Ronda, and all this shit. And you just give her an absolute fucking can. You shouldn't have given a contract to.
Yeah, no, that's a waste of my time. So I'm glad we do have some good fights on this card for sure, though.
Good shit. That's it for the cans and contenders this week.
Good deal. Thank you very much, sir. So normally this would be the point where TJ would be getting all excited, chopping to the bit, getting giddy in his chair, because I'm going to give the only other segment of the show's individual disclaimer, even though he's not here. Maybe me. Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology.com does offer you the ability to go onto their site, create a free account, and make fantasy-style picks about the fights like we do here. They even let you make groups on the site, so we made one. We call it I'm No Bookie, or Group 965, however you need to search it. It's open to the public. We encourage you to come, make an account, join the group, let us know who the fuck you are, and then we can talk shit about you or give you your praises in a little segment that we like to call Tapology with TJ. But fuck that, because now it's my time with Meter. That being said, we have got the DraftKings odds up for the odds, so we will get to the odds. But first, before we get to that, I would be remiss if I did not remember to mention, let me get this quote directly here so I don't mess it up. How was it phrased? Four-way dick double dutch of doom that we were playing at the end of last week's card, because if you didn't watch last week's fights, almost none of them went the way that most of us thought they were going to go. I will say I was low man on the totem pole at the end of the evening, so I will absolutely show that I was the man that tripped over my dick this week, but it was not for lack of trying, because man, did we have a wrestle fest down at the very bottom. It just kept shuffling and going back and forth. None of us could really seem to get our fucking traction, and as soon as we did, another one would fall out and shuffle the whole order up again. So no, I did end up at the bottom with 4 of 10 for last week. First time I've gone under 500 in a hot fucking minute, but I ate a whole plate full of dick. So what are you going to do? Happens to the best of us sometimes, clearly. Golf T and Ramie were just ever so slightly able to hold out above me with just 340, just 50 points away, one fucking pick. SlowB and Don just above them by another 50 with 390. Donna inching just above with 405, but not to be outdone. The man of the hour last week, Vindog the Booty Hog, sitting high atop the throne with 8 of 10 correct for 490 points to kick ass and take names, holding first down in our groups game that we've got going for just the show members on Tapology. So Vindog the Booty Hog holding it down strong, keeping Donna from completely taking over and making her fucking earn it every step of the way. I will try and throw my cock back up over my shoulder this week and try not to double dutch double weeks in a row, but we will see, because as you will hear in just a minute, some of the odds this week, at least from Vegas, are a little wider than I would have at least thought them to be. Kicking off at the top here, Yoder versus Ducote. They've got Emily Ducote as a minus 380 favorite on DraftKings, with Yoder as a plus 300 dog. I think Ducote's got a chance to take that one for sure. I don't know if I'd call it a minus 400 favorite to a plus 300 dog, though, so that one's a little bit iffy. Gutierrez versus Alatalong Haley. Same situation here. Negative 278 for Gutierrez, plus 225 for Alatong Haley. I don't know if those odds are right to begin with, but to be, pushing over 200 on either side, a little ballsy of Vegas, in my opinion, at least. But then we drop down to one of the biggest odds on the card here, T-Rex. We both said it. I think T-Rex takes this fight versus Brandon Marodi coming in to make his short notice debut. But DraftKings right now has a T-Rex minus 550 to a Marodi plus 410. I love T-Rex, but in the event that young man comes in and makes a debut splash and somehow gets around him, there's going to be some payout on that fucking bet for damn sure. That man has a chance to fuck up some parlays this week. That being said, there are quite a few even money coin flips down the line that we don't really have to worry about too much, including the co-main event. The main event is just outside of a coin flip itself, minus 166 minus 166 favorite for Yusuff to a plus 140 dog for Barboza. That's essentially a fucking coin flip across the board there. And I think that's pretty right on as well. So there's not a lot of big money odds to make money with this week if you're going for odds, but there are some interesting fights here that Vegas sees apparently a little different than we do. So there is that. That being said, though, before we give you the full rundown for this weekend and talk a little bit more about that UFC card, I do want to give everybody the fight menu for the weekend, as it were. Ironically enough, there were no fights this afternoon or this evening, this morning, however you want to do it. One didn't put anything on, so you didn't miss anything by us not telling you last night to watch it today. You all right? We took the Friday off. We took over. So tomorrow, though, we have got 3 big cards going on that are all going to essentially overlap a little bit, but not too terribly much. Kicking it off first and foremost at noon Central Standard Time, KSW 87. This is the Polish organization. They're going to be over in Czech Republic tomorrow morning. There's a couple names on that card that you're going to recognize, even if you're a casual, that are either former or teasing the UFC banner there. Starting just a half an hour later, though, at noon 30 Central Standard Time, Cage Warriors 161 live from Dublin. Again, another feeder organization for the UFC, and another card where even some casual fans are going to recognize a couple of the names on this card. The hardcores are probably going to know most of these guys and gals on both of these cards, but these are both a pair of cards that are not UFC, but have some UFC-esque or UFC premonition names that folks will be able to recognize. And then we've got the actual UFC card itself, with the prelims kicking off. What prelims start at 4, I believe. Let's see here. No, 3, excuse me. Prelims kick off at 3 p.m. Saturday. So essentially both of the KSW and Cage Warriors cards will be getting closer towards the end of theirs when UFC starts, but basically from noon till probably 8-9 o'clock Central tomorrow night, there's going to be fights on all fucking day. So if you need punchy kicky, there's plenty to tune into. That being said, speaking of the marquee, the reason for the season, the card of the UFC for which we gather, we've talked a little bit about the cans. We've talked a little bit about the contenders here. I think we're both pretty much in agreement that this co-main event isn't really much of a co-main event to begin with. It's basically going to be a boring grapplers battle or boring grapplers striking very poorly, one of the two. Either Maya's going to lay on Araujo and do what she wants on the ground, which generally isn't too terribly much, or Araujo is going to throw a lot of air punches up in the on the feet and make her do a lot of dancing. But I don't think we're all that excited. I am curious, though, how you think this main event plays out, because like you said, we got to see Edson in action in Kansas City in April, but with Yusuff, Sadiq, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Sadiq Yusuff is one of the few people, obviously aside from like the Bo Nichols, that have come out of the Contender Series that I actually give a shit about and am willing to support and follow. Super Sadiq is and has been a bad motherfucker and has proven himself at that. But like you said, he does still seem like he needs just a little bit more. He's got to get over the hump, so to speak, as it were, I feel like. Do you think he's going to be able to wear out Barboza, or outlast, I should say, Barboza here to try and get his work in on the back end? Because we know Barboza's great up front, but he's getting older. He's not going to have that wheel kick potential with the crazy flying knees late into the 5th at this point. But I don't know. How do you think this main event actually goes?
Well, I'm interested to see how it goes. It's like you said with Yusuff, I feel like he hasn't quite made it over the hump because of his one loss in the OC against Arnold Allen, a dude who's right up there knocking on the door for the title and shit. So it's like he's definitely deserving of top 15. He's definitely done some good shit since he's been in the UFC. The kid's exciting, but that's the thing against Edson. Even if he's older, Sadiq's not really a grappler. He's not going to out jiu-jitsu Edson Barboza. He's got to outstrike him, which that's a crazy fucking thing to think about, even if the kid's really talented. It's kind of like what you just elaborated on. I don't think Barboza would have that same energy going into round 4 and 5 with him moving up in the years. So I really think Yusuf would have to come out to a really strong start. We see a lot of those situations nowadays where we think we're going to get an exciting fight, and the guys just kind of pity patter, fucking play patty cake for the first round or two, try to gauge shit out and see how it's going to go. If Yusuf does that, he's just going to make it easy for Barboza because if he's not expending a lot of energy in those first couple rounds, he will be fine later on in the fight. I just feel like Barboza is going to have the advantage everywhere, even if Yusuf has the youth. That's literally what it is in my eyes. It's youth versus experience, and you're going against a legend. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, even if he hasn't been a champion. We know that with Barboza. It's just going to be horribly tough. Like, if Barboza's saying what he's saying is true, like that he feels the strongest he's ever felt in his life, he's in fantastic fucking shape. It's going to be rough for Sadiq, just because I don't think his striking can necessarily outmatch Barboza, and it's mainly because Sadiq, in my eyes, is more of a kickboxer. And Barboza can do some of the shit that we've seen out of guys like Michelle Pereira or whatever, the capoeira kind of style. Fucking do some crazy shit. Really fucking get some crazy kicks in there, the flying knees. If Barboza comes out strong in the first couple rounds, things can be tough for Sadiq. But he could tire himself out. No matter what, I'm hoping for a war, right? You fucking said it a couple weeks ago, and I felt like I jinxed us saying that Gamrot Fiziev fight could have been the fight of the year. Every fucking time I say that shit, we get some shit like that. Fucking dude gets hurt right in the middle of the fight, and you don't even get to see the fucking fight. So I need to quit saying shit like that. I know for a fact, even if this goes to a war, this ain't going to be one of our fights of the year contenders. So hopefully, knock on wood, everything stays good. These guys stay healthy. We just get a badass fucking fight to finish off this weekend, because it'll probably be a little bit of a tough ride up until that point. We'll maybe get some excitement, just a few nice finishes from some of these prospects we talked about. That People's main event, Jonathan Martinez, Adrian Yanez, is going to be really fucking exciting. And then it's just a fucked up layering, right? You get a really exciting fight and a really boring fucking fight, make you want to fall asleep, right. And then you get the fucking main event. And I mean, yeah. we that's the biggest thing for me. Sadiq and his inexperience, it could be a really boring ass fight. That's just kind of how I feel it. Is he really going to go out there and fucking throw balls to the wall? Because it's the only way he's going to beat Edson. If he's tentative and tries to take his time, like Cheeto Vera does and shit like that, he's going to lose this fight.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on the money. I think Edson knows how he's got to win this fight, and he can't win this fight by taking it to a tough decision. He's got to fucking get in there and get after it, whether he gets a stoppage, what have you. He's got to get after it. And Sadiq, like you said, has a tendency to do that Cheeto-esque, to almost give him the first round just to see what they're going to do. And with a guy like Edson Barboza with so many different fucking tools in his bag, you can't just give him time, because he's not going to feel you out. He's going to start throwing shit at you right away and see what hurts and what lands and what doesn't. And he's just going to keep chopping from different angles and throwing different shit. We've seen how fucking creative he can be in the moment, first fucking hand. And that dude can throw anything from anywhere to catch you and just ruin your whole fucking night. And I love Super Sadiq, man. He's one of my favorite fucking younger fighters, but I think you're right on the money here. I think his lack of experience, especially against a guy as OG as Edson fucking Barboza, is going to be his biggest detriment coming into this weekend. I think he's going to try and come out slow and feel it out, like you said. And I think that's going to be his downfall. I think Edson's coming out there. I don't think Edson's looking for another wheel kick highlight, but I think Edson, like you said, every time they put a mic in front of him, he says, I've never felt as strong as I do right now. I've never felt as capable and as good as I do right now. And if that carries over from April, it's going to be a long night for Sadiq, or a very short night, maybe. I think you're right. I think Edson gets this done. I like Sadiq Yusuff, I really do, but I think this is a little bigger of a bite than he needed right now. I think this.
I like Sadiq a lot too, but the last 2 wins he's had after the loss to Arnold has been Don Shanis and then Alex Carceres. Love Alex Carceres, but it's just not that same level as Edson. That's just my mentality of it. Sadiq has to show us what he hasn't shown us yet, and I guess that's why he hasn't really moved himself over the hump. You got to get that dog out. Like that's what we got to see this weekend. You got to see something like pulled out of this guy because he's going to be in a tough fucking spot, potentially the toughest he's ever been in. He's going to be in a dog fight. He's got to make it a dog fight. And, I mean, he's got to take it to Edson from the fucking second that bell rings to the second a fucking ref rips him off of Edson. That's the only way I see him getting a win. You got to really fucking take it to him, man. Because, I mean, Shane Burgos a couple years ago, he tried to have a little firefight with him. We saw how it went. I mean, Edson's got that shit. He's got some crazy fucking power. So Deeks, he's got to take that risk. He's got to show the dog. He's got to be willing to take shots to get shots. And that'll be a hell of a fucking fight if we actually see that. If he's not tentative and he goes out there fucking trying to just constantly run at Edson Barboza down, this is gonna be fun fucking shit tomorrow night.
I hope so, because I think that's what we're going to be in store for. I think Sadiq knows he's up against the challenge. I just don't think he quite understands how much of a challenge it really is until that cage door closes and there's no way out. Now he's face to face with Edson. But I agree. I think it's going to be a great fucking fight. That being said, though, that is what we've got for this particular episode. Thank you to everybody tuned in, whether you were catching us live Thursday nights normally or tonight Friday over on the youtube.com/I'mNoJoe YouTube channel, or you're picking us up later in the all audio form from anchor.fm/I'mNoJoe on your podcast consumption platform of choice. Either way, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you like what we get up to around here, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and your notifications are turned on wherever you are getting this. On the other side of that coin, though, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give us a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, we wrap things up around here Thursday nights normally. That's not the end of the week, because most Friday mornings, when everybody's not under the weather, that gentleman right over there and his partner put out their Slow Bake and Contemplate podcast on Spreaker.com. You can catch that over there, or you can catch them with their their links down in the description for their socials, as well as their channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server as well.
Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, with feeling under the fucking weather this week, didn't get to it today. Hope we will get a last minute fucking show in tomorrow morning if I'm feeling up for it. Just so we still get something out there for everybody this week. Damn sure gonna try to get back on that schedule next week, every Friday morning. Shit don't fucking stop there. Once we get around the next fucking week, you gotta tune in to the brother's fucking YouTube channel, Golf TV Vapes, and tune into the Foggy Fairway every Wednesday night around 9 o'clock, 9:30, about the same time we start the show. You get some fucking nice vape recipes, just chill, have a good time, show the brother some fucking love, even though he wasn't able to be here tonight. Can't fucking help but support the brother, you know? Hop into the Foggy Fairway every Wednesday night.
Hell yeah. And it's not over there, because sometime during the week, sometimes Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays, sometimes during the week, our new guy Ramie also has his own podcast, the Mocaniculture podcast. You can hop over and check that out. I actually posted a little link. I was over there helping them do their episode this week, because they have learned about all the funs of OBS and the joy that it brings to your life. So I went over and helped them out. Go check that out. Real cool fucking guys. Great podcast they do over there. But as if that is not enough, I will toot my own horn today, goddammit. Toot fucking toot. If you are interested in any of the multiple shenaniganry things that I get up to, you can go to the links down in the bottom, linktree/I'mNoJoe for all things podcast and punchy kicky related. I also have my own personal stuff down there, because as you may know by the links, I go by the name The Meter Does Many Things, and I do indeed do many things. All of those are in the link tree for The Meter Does Many Things. So if you want to catch up with all the crazy shit I get up to, those links are down there as well. But that is all we've got for this particular episode. Thank you to everybody again who tuned in. We appreciate you, but we are calling that all for this particular one. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless it's Chiefs losing. You're fucked on that one, boys.
Oh, oh, oh. kung fu fighting. Those kicks were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye?